Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Easton Film Festival Presents. I'm Craig Whitford, your host. We have a very special show tonight. Joining me, as always, is the boss, Bill Ames.
Craig, good to be here.
And also, very special guest tonight. We have Easton film buffs, Michael Freise and Brenda Manning. They have been attending the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah for the last 3 years. Michael is a Easton filmmaker and comes to us, actually worked at the University of Michigan Television Center as a photographer editor. Brenda Manning is a senior licensing manager at Children's Hospital. And I guess we could say a renowned local film buffs, huh? And they're going to talk to us tonight about Sundance. It'll be very exciting. It's one of the models that we use in the Easton Film Festival. One of many.
Patterned after our
what
cable
we aspire to be.
That's right.
First of all, a little business we'd like to get out of the way. We're at a very exciting time for the film festival. A number of our most important events are coming up. We have received most of the films that are going to be judged. We'll be judging the films over the next week or so. We'll be screening films very shortly for the community, and we're going to have an awards night in June. Bill, why don't you give us the important dates for the next month?
The salient dates are the 31st of May is the festival day, we call it. We're up at the high school. We have 3 rooms reserved, and we'll be showing all the entries up there. And then on the 14th of June, we have the actual festival day, and that is when awards day I should say, that's when we award the prizes for the top films. And that should be very exciting. And of course, at this point, we always like to thank the Northeastern Savings Bank, speaking of our awards, who has once again generously lent their support to our festival and is funding the awards. So thank you to the Northeastern Savings Bank.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Also, I want to mention the foreign film series, which is ongoing. On alternate Friday nights, we screen foreign films at Andrew's Bakery. Andrew's Bakery is located on Route 123 across from the main gate of Stonehill College. We screen the films at 7 p.m. We generally meet around 6 and kibitz a little bit and talk a little bit and enjoy some of the fine pastries and coffee drinks that's provided by Julia at Andrew's Bakery. It's a great way to spend a Friday night. For me, a latte and a chocolate chip cookie and a foreign film, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Right. Don't even have to go to West Newton.
You don't have to go to West Newton. So please join us. Well, upcoming dates for the foreign film series. Next one we're showing is Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, a Taiwanese film. That'll be May 23rd. We're going to show Day for Night on June 6th, a French film by the great director Truffaut. On June 20th, another French, this is a French comedy, The Closet. We're going to diversify a little bit. On July 4th, happens to be a Friday, so we are going to show a film, but we're going to show Yankee Doodle Dandy. If we can secure a copy.
If we can find it.
If we can secure a copy.
Hopefully we will.
And then on July 18th, the last one we have on the schedule, we're going to continue, but the last one we have scheduled is another fine French comedy called Amélie. So again, we encourage you to join us at the Foreign Film Series, alternate Friday nights at Andrew's Bakery. Okay, let's talk to Michael and Brenda. 3 years in a row, you guys have been going to Sundance Film Festival. You want to tell us, what your motivation was and a little bit about what Sundance is about?
Well, for me, it was, of course, a desire to see films. I remember first hearing about it 3 years ago, and I had the opportunity and got my airfare and secured a condominium, and that I had the sublet to help pay for it. And I went out there without having any tickets in my hand. All of them were theoretically sold out over the telephone. So it was a matter of going out there cold turkey and acquiring tickets. I found out that they always hold tickets back that they sell at the time of the show, and you line up in order and get a number, and then you can buy as many as 2 tickets per person. So it was kind of a scramble to go from venue to venue. They have about 9 venues that they show films at, and they have shuttle buses that carry you around. And with the schedule that you're given for each day, you try to get as many films in as you can.
In addition to seeing films, go ahead, Brenda. Go
No,
ahead.
I was going to say, some people try to get as many films in as you can. Michael would watch 6 films a day if he could.
Is that doable? Is
Yes.
that realistic?
It's-
Yeah,
it's
If you
doable.
schedule right,
Start
you
at
can see-
8:30 in the morning, you get out of your last one at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you repeat, you go home and sleep as fast as you can and repeat that the next day and for 10 days.
And
It's
Sundance
brutal.
is all independent film?
No,
Major
No.
studios?
not
No,
at all.
okay.
They do have some world premieres there, and it attracts name actors. I know one day we ran into Robin Williams walking down the street with a hat over his head. He was trying to go incognito, but he was a dead giveaway. So
Not an incognito.
not
guy,
an
okay,
incognito.
no.
Mick Jagger was there one year, I guess.
Also, definitely not an incognito.
That's
yeah.
right, right. And in fact, I'd say this past year, what we ended up doing quite a bit was going to the films that weren't the major studio films, because it turns out those make it to the market anyway. Okay.
There's going to be an opportunity to
That's
see
right,
the major
to
entries.
see them.
Some of
That's
the
right.
independent films that have your
That's
interest,
right.
you
would
may
not
get an
necessarily see.
opportunity to
Right.
see.
That's right.
This is the Bible of the festival, and it's a big book. It's published for $10, and it shows page by page every film that's out there.
Is that the program, in effect, that you get
Yes.
when you arrive at
Well, no,
Sundance?
they have a cheaper version which you get for working out your schedule, but
Right.
this one provides all of the content, and it has it itemized by premieres, animation, independent feature film competition documentary, independent feature film competition dramatic, American Showcase, American Spectrum, World Cinema, a Native Form, Frontier, and Shorts program. So you get a lot of different kinds
So it's
of.
separated by categories. Does
Yes.
each venue have its own category, or is it, this is sort of, it doesn't?
Yeah, there's kind of a trend. Once you get the hang of it, you know where you're going to see the shorts films. If you want to see a program of short films, it's going to be about a 2-hour program. Or they show the premieres at this major auditorium called the Eccles Theater, and it's a very high-class theater, and then the film moves from there to another theater the next day. So if you miss the premiere, you sometimes get a second chance.
In
If you
fact,
can't-
there's quite, Michael takes care of this, there's quite a trick to scheduling everything, because most of the films are shown, maybe, 3 or 4 times?
Some.
And so it's a big deal to see which films you want to see and then get the schedule so that you can try to maximize the number that you can see, so that, because there are always at least 8 or 10 films showing at the same time.
Is it possible for one person to see every film?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
It's just-
There's just not enough
It's-
time.
There's not enough.
There's not
no,
enough time. Yeah,
time.
I think that it's possible for one person to see about half of the films, but that's
Or
really,
maybe even only a third, because
yeah. I was going to say that's really packing it in.
So what
And if
percentage
you
of
see, go ahead.
independent films, we touched on this earlier, but independent films versus Hollywood films?
we try to see most of those. The independent.
What percentage?
The independent
I mean,
features.
Is it mostly independents, or?
Well, there are independent features that we try to see the most of, and because we won't see those at the Embassy or Kendall or West Newton, probably, but they are made by independents in California, New York, or whatever, and they are well-made films of high quality. I know there was a film called 13, which was about teenage coming-of-age problems, and it was a very beautiful film. And Salma Hayek, who starred in Frida, got her directing debut this past year in a film called The Malo Nada Miracle, a beautiful little film. well crafted, well done film, and you just won't see it anywhere else.
I think, you know, you need to sort of define to some extent what you mean by independent film. We saw, I mean, if you say independent films are not with your major studios or
That's how I think.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I'm not-
Then, I mean, if you say that, then I'd say the percentage of independent films is probably 90% or more, or, you know, 80 to 90%. But those independent films that you see are extremely professional. I mean, they are very, very
Are some of
well
the
done and
entries
good.
in the independent films, are the producers at that point looking for funding?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what that's really
Yeah,
about.
that's
is
a big-
funding
that's-
to get in.
To some extent, though, I think
They're
most of them are looking for
Completed.
distribution.
They're
Or
complete-
distribution.
They're
I
looking
guess
for
that's where I was
distribution.
going with that.
Yeah,
funding,
late for
distribution.
funding.
That's
Yeah.
well, they're looking for funding for the
I know
next
what
one.
you're saying.
Yeah.
It's about the money.
That's right.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of deals made there, and
There's a lot of ways you can go. You can go direct to cable, or
That's
you can
right.
get it
Yeah.
major.
That's
you
right.
know.
There is so much dealing going on. I mean, that's half of the fun is being on the bus and listening to the conversations going on and watching. I mean, there's a lot of hype to some, you know, to some extent.
And-
It's not a. I mean,
There's hype.
oh
Yeah.
I guess
goodness,
Hollywood
yes.
is hype.
Oh, there's
Sure.
hype.
Yeah.
You know.
One thing
and,
they know.
and we do a lot try to see the films that we don't think we're going to see, you know, out in the theaters. But sometimes it's just fun to go to those where you know the big Hollywood people are going to be there, you know, and to hear what they have to say, you know. And even though you see them at a distance, it's there's just a lot of hoopla, and you have to do a few of those. You just
Sure.
have
I
to
know.
do a
Speaking
few
of that,
those.
is Robert Redford very present?
yes.
Did you see him a lot?
Well, you know, it was funny. The first night we got there this year, we went into a pub that I had made acquaintance with 3 years ago with the bartenders and so forth. And we went in there and we were having a beer, and three women came in and they sat down and had a drink. And all of a sudden they picked up their drink and ran outside. Somebody told them Robert Redford was in the street. And so the bartender said, "You're not running out with my glasses." And he ran after them and got all their drinks back.
But it's that kind of thing
it is
happening
that-
all
So
the
did
time.
you see Robert Redford?
No, we sat at the bar.
We
I
don't.
always
We,
wondered how tall he was.
I don't know.
I don't
He's
know.
5'6".
See,
Is that right?
He's a short
right.
guy,
See,
yeah.
we're the type, we don't go running looking for people, but if they happen to walk by,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
notice.
she saw Forrest Whitaker come out. He was
Yeah.
a judge
Yeah,
at the major film venue where they show all the premieres, and he came out one night just as we were walking out and got in a van and got whisked away somewhere. But it is, there are stars out there. One night
Oh,
we
yeah.
went up the street about 1 in the morning, headed back to our condominium, and there was a big crowd in the main street, and fire trucks and polices and everything. And we didn't know what, we stayed away from it, went up the hill, and
we tend to
the
do
next morning we asked our condo mates who that was, and they said, "Oh, that was Ben Affleck and Jennifer
J-Lo,
Lopez."
right.
So,
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you recommend a film or films that you saw this year at Sundance that are really remarkable and that we should keep an eye out for? That might
yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so. One was The Soldier's Girl, a very interesting film about transgendering people, and a love affair that occurred between a straight man, a soldier, and a woman. And this film was very well done,
Yeah, and based on a true story.
based on a true story. They actually had the transgendered woman in the audience. It got a standing ovation, one of the few I've ever seen there.
And
So she was actually transgendered? I mean, this wasn't an
Yes.
actor?
No,
there was an actor in the film.
it was an
It was
actor.
a drama, not a
That's right.
documentary.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dramatization.
That's right.
Dramatization,
Dramatization.
yes.
That's right. And I think too, 13. Okay, that was about a teenage girl. Obviously, that was 13 years old. Actually, several teenage girls, but it was a very deep story in terms of influences on teenagers and how their lives can go in different directions. It was also very, very good.
That's the coming of age story.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was
I love
very,
those.
Very well,
yeah, it
With
was
Holden
beautiful.
Caulfield.
We're all still coming of age, right?
Yeah,
And
that got a lot of
the
play.
Salma Hayek film was very
Oh,
good.
that was very
The
beautiful.
Maldonado
A miracle.
Miracle. That's right.
What was that about?
Well, it was a story that took place just north of the border of Mexico, and a young boy who was fleeing to the United States and got separated from his father, and was alone with his dog. He cut himself. He got shot, I think. Did he get shot or?
Yeah, I think he
got shot by border
Anyway,
guards.
He was bleeding.
And he took refuge in a small church in this town, up in the attic with his dog. And after that, there was a crucifix up in the church, and they found blood coming down its eye. And they thought this was a miracle.
This was a miracle.
This was a miracle that
Okay.
had happened and all this.
Right.
Well, Selma wove the story amongst a lot of characters in the town, but it came back to the point whereby the boy admitted that it was he that was up there who bled on the crucifix. But in the meantime, he had been to a doctor in town to treat his wound, and the doctor had done a blood test on him. And after the boy started to leave town, he said the blood test of the blood on the crucifix didn't match the boy's. And the people, came in and prayed and gave money to the church. All this
It changed the church.
It
I mean,
changed
the town.
the town, and it was just a marvelously crafted
Very well done, yeah.
So
story.
what's the title of that one again?
The
Maldonado
Miracle.
Miracle.
Is that out in the theaters now?
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it,
I
yeah.
expect it will make it because she did an excellent job of directing.
But to give you an idea, some of the premieres we saw, The Confidence, City of Ghosts, that was there. I'm trying to think of the ones that have been released. But a number of the ones that we did see as premieres are definitely out already.
Are there other activities other than viewing the films that you take part in?
Yeah, well, we didn't. We're pretty hardcore film goers, but there are parties.
Yeah.
Lots of parties.
Right.
Different.
And they
That
have
are open
lectures.
to you buy tickets to the parties? They're open to?
Various, some are open, some are
Right.
closed. Various producers give parties, or I don't know, if you buy a certain block of tickets, I think you get
Yeah,
tickets
you
to
get
certain
parties.
that are given open by the festival.
I believe, too, that there are some lectures. There's
Yeah,
also
panels.
a tour that goes out to the Sundance Film Institute,
Okay.
because that's not in Park City. It's about an hour outside of there.
Yeah, I was
There's a
interested in
tour.
that. What is the the Sundance Institute? Is a strictly it's broader than just film, right? I think it's.
I don't know. We've never been down there. It's about 45 minutes south of Park City, but it's Redford's. It's his ongoing. What do you call a retreat for filmmakers, that they can work on their films and get support for them, and have an interface between each other, so that rising budding filmmakers can get their exposure.
Well, it's interesting, Michael. I read the origin of the Sundance Film Festival, and it turned out it was originally started as we were talking earlier. It was called the USA Film and Video Festival.
Yeah.
And I think it went for 3 years out there in Utah before they managed to entice Robert Redford and the Sundance Institute to take it over. And I think they held it in Salt Lake City, and apparently the people who ran it were pretty well connected. They weren't top-level Hollywood people by any means, but they had many friends. And I guess they were, as I read in this book about the Sundance Festival, they were talking to Sidney Pollack. They had a group of people around for sort of a little think session. So Sidney Pollack said, well, you should take this out of Salt Lake and stick it in Park City in February in the middle of ski season.
Yeah.
That's
Everybody went, bingo.
That's right. I did
That's
forget.
it.
I did forget. There's lots of skiing too.
Yeah,
That's right.
some people split the
So
difference.
it was a huge.
Yeah.
Everybody immediately. Maybe it was
Yeah.
just because Sidney Pollack said it. Obviously, if I'd said it, they wouldn't have listened.
No, it's a
But if
pretty
Sidney
idyllic.
Pollack said it.
It's a pretty idyllic
Are there
setting.
9 theaters in Park City?
Yeah.
They're not all theaters, you know.
But there are 9 venues, some of which
That's
are
right.
There's a
theaters
town
that go
library,
year-round.
town library that has the
Right.
venue, and then there are 3
Theaters.
that were the long kind. I think the kind you see out at Westgate. Now they turn them into stadium seating, and
Similar to Randolph.
Yep.
yes,
Oh,
similar
that's
to
right.
Randolph.
How's the popcorn?
Western style.
They have
Little
lots of food
barbecue.
you can buy. They
Lots
do,
of
but
food,
everything
yeah.
costs, right?
It's very expensive.
So if
but
I
the-
want to go to Sundance next year,
Mm-hmm.
this is, we're in May now, it's February.
Yeah.
but I plan, have you secured your tickets?
No,
You
no.
have?
You know, it's funny.
terrible
They put their block tickets on sale around October or November, I think, and that is for people who want to go to all the premieres. For instance, they get a block ticket for the Eccles Auditorium.
Okay.
And people like Roger Ebert are out there, and he's in there all the time. Not until early January, almost a week or two before the festival.
Is when it becomes available. and
And then you
Right.
get on the telephone or you get on the computer.
You have a
It's
lot
a-
of planning to do.
Yeah.
because
That's
you're gonna
Right.
see
It's a
6
terrible
day,
system,
Yeah.
right?
And
So you
all
have
right,
Terrible.
To
terrible.
secure airfare and hotel, should I think about that now, though? Perhaps. I mean, is the city that busy yet?
I
Or-
don't think so.
If you want to get really, really good tickets, but we haven't. There's nobody going there, I don't think, except for film festival people. To
Do
tell
the
you the
ski
truth.
people tend to stay away that 10 days?
No, they're still skiing.
Everybody's-
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there's-
it's
yeah.
a big happy.
Snow's there, you got to
But
take
it's,
advantage.
yeah,
of it.
we haven't had any problem with getting either a place to stay or with the tickets for the film. I'm
Okay.
sorry, or with airfare. But the tickets for the film, that is a pain.
What do they
Okay.
cost? What's a typical?
It's $10
$10
per movie.
ticket.
It's a little
That's
pricey.
it. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Especially if you'd think they'd have a discount. If you're going to see a certain number, then it would be cut back. But they don't have anything like that.
So how many films did you see?
Well, probably 45 or
So
so.
that's 450.
We spent about $1,000
That's
on
I said,
tickets.
about
yeah.
a thousand between
1,000
us.
in
Yeah.
tickets.
Yeah.
So, but you can get all those ahead of time.
Well, we tried. I wasn't very successful this year.
Yes, really.
Because their computer system has a few bugs in it that they only allow you 10 tickets per hit on the computer or 10 tickets per phone call if you can get through once they start their switchboard. So after you get your 10 tickets, they verify it, take it off your MasterCard, and then you have to redial again or re-get on the computer to get 10 more. So all this is going on all over the country. People are
That's right.
cramming the
And
computer
because
boards.
they've pushed it into only about a week, it's totally impossible for the
What's
first
the
3 days.
attendance?
They say 20,000.
It's pretty big. It's
Yeah.
pretty big.
Slightly larger than the Easton.
Easton Film Festival. That's right.
Well, you're more elite.
We're more elite. That's
Have you
right.
attended other film
We're
festivals
cheaper, too.
other than Sundance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in Ann Arbor, we
We
used to
started out
attend
with the Ann Arbor
the
Film Festival.
Ann Arbor Film Festival, and that was all short films.
Yeah, and
Short
all
independent animation.
Very different, actually.
Then, do you go to the Newport Film Festival, which is coming up in, I think,
You
2
know,
weeks?
I never have. There's so
haven't.
many that
We
go
keep-
on. Woods
yeah.
Hole and Provincetown.
Woods Hole,
and-
yeah.
The Boston
and-
Independent Film Festival was with it last couple weeks ago, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Was it-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
The Newport one would be
Oh yeah.
easy to get to, certainly.
Yeah,
and,
it would be.
always pleasant. But what trends did you see in Sundance? I mean, we have coming of
In
age
terms of the
film.
movies?
Well, just the genre. We have coming of age, drama, sort of action.
Yeah.
Documentary. I mean, has there been a change in the mix that you've seen over the
No,
last 3 years?
it's a pretty consistent draw of all those species of films. Matter of fact, they have a documentary ticket. I think you can go to, or they sell tickets just to the documentaries for some people who want to go to those. The foreign films that come in, Iceland sends films, beautiful films. We saw some films from Denmark this year too. I would say that you're always going to get a full complement. So
Are a lot of young directors
Yes.
Women directors?
Oh, yes,
Looking-
very much so.
I'd say there seems to be, because they have the categories, there seems to be a real push to be fairly even-handed with, different ethnic backgrounds, different countries, different, whether it's women or men,
So
quite a bit.
they're looking for a balance, not just
It seems to be.
quality,
Yeah.
but
That's
of
right.
of
Martha-
who's submitting the film.
Yeah.
That's
Martha
right.
Coolidge got her start there. I think she, I forget the name of the film that she introduced it to Sundance. So
I wouldn't be
what?
surprised.
So there's an award, Sundance Award, a grand
Yes.
prize award, and then the runner-up, and
Yes,
There
they
are
have
quite
a
a few.
dinner. They have a dinner the night, Saturday night, which is the last day of screening. Sunday
They announce
is the winner's schedule. I was going to mention that you asked for other activities. There are several other film festivals going on at the same time. There's Slam Dance and No Dance, and I don't know. We haven't even got into that yet.
Those are festivals within the festival?
No,
I think-
outside the festival.
I think-
Park City.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
right,
in
at
Park
Park
City,
City.
in Park
And I
City.
think what they are is people who start up, that didn't get into Sundance or that are protesting Sundance because they think it's gotten
Too
too
big,
commercial,
commercial,
and so
right.
they're more
Success will get you
independent.
every time.
Yeah, that's right.
it's always something. It's always something. Well, that's interesting about the documentaries, which is a particular interest, I know, to a lot of us in the Easton Film Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first prize at Sundance, what does that get you? A cash award or just,
You
I
know,
guess
I
the
ca-
prestige is huge.
Yes, the
They
prestige.
probably don't have to give away money.
Yeah, the prestige is huge. I actually don't remember what,
No, I don't
what
either.
the
The
prizes are.
Do you normally see the prizes go to the true independent films rather than the...
Yes,
Yes, they do.
I would say so.
Yes,
It
they
seems
do.
to lean that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
The judges are made up of...
Well, like this time, Forrest Whitaker was a judge, and there was another actor who was a judge. I can't remember his name. Fairly well known.
Whitaker's actor, director also, right?
That's
now.
right. Yes, and I think there were only about four or five judges, and I can't remember who the other three were. Okay, but
That judge,
Couple of them.
certainly not all the films.
They may have had judges
they
in
have
each category.
In each category.
that
I
could
would
be.
And the
think
judging
That
is
could be.
done during the course of the
That's right.
festival?
During the
That's
course
right.
of it.
That's
They
right.
do.
Because, for instance, that was where we first saw Forrest Whitaker. He was sitting in one of the films.
Remind me who
watching.
Forrest Whitaker is.
Forrest Whitaker.
I know he's an actor.
He is, he was...
He was in
in
The
Phone
Crying
Booth.
Game.
The Crying Game.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
okay.
Okay, the
And he
black
was just
guy.
in Phone Booth, if you ever saw that.
Yeah.
He
Black
was in
guy?
Phone
Yep,
Booth?
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Phone
That-
booth.
that
Plays
comes
a
back.
cop
Yep,
in Phone
he plays
Booth.
the cop in Phone Booth.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got about a minute and a half left here. So you're planning to go next year?
It's funny. First year I went out there, I was full fired up to go, and I went the whole route, scrambled for films, for tickets, and enjoyed myself. Second year I got out there, about halfway through, I said, wouldn't it nice to be home with my building your own theology group in a warm room, just talking with people. This year I went out there, the first day I said, are we coming back next year? So I don't know.
But every time it
thinking
gets
about
closer,
it.
yeah, every time it gets closer,
You get festival fever.
Yeah.
Well, it's been wonderful having you with us.
Thank you for
I think
having
you've
us.
Yeah.
inspired us to
Yeah,
go
this
to
is
the-
great. I hope
go
that
to
we
the
can-
festival.
I would say, I think everybody ought to do it at least once. Okay, it's
Yeah.
definitely worth it.
Oh, I think so. At least go to Newport, if nothing else.
That's right.
I mean, that's right nearby, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
We'd like to hear more about it. I hope you guys come back and talk to us again.
Oh, certainly. I'd be glad to.
Good.
All right, thank you. All right, this has been very instructive and a lot of fun. Join us again for all the upcoming events. Join us at the Foreign Film Series. Michael Freise, Brenda Manning, Bill Ames. Bill Ames.
Final word, thanks again to the, God bless them, the Northeastern Savings Bank for their wonderful support.
Okay. This has been Easton Film Festival Presents. I'm Craig Whitford. Thank you for watching.